Here we are in the Redwall Cavern, in the midst of the Redwall limestone inside the Grand Canyon. The Redwall limestone is one of the most fossiliferous units in the entire Grand Canyon. And all the fossils found in the Redwall are in fact marine organisms. This seems to indicate that the Redwall limestone was deposited in a marine environment. That means that whatever deposited this particular formation that's around me, above me, below me, beside me, and so on, it was in the midst of an ocean. Yet now, we're thousands of feet above sea level. So it would seem as if at some point in the past, there was an ocean over this location, over this entire continent, if it was this high. More particularly, the fossils that are found here, such as the boulder in which I'm sitting, has some crinoids and some bryozoans in it. These are very fragile creatures in the sense that once they die, their parts quickly disseminate over the surface of the sediment on the seafloor. The fossils, in contrast, in the boulder beneath me, are in fact still intact. Crinoid still with its individual columnals fitted together into the column that supported the head of the organism. And the bryozoans still together in the fan-shaped structure in which all the thousands of little organisms lived. The fact that those bodies are still together seems to indicate that whatever deposited them, buried them rather rapidly. While they were still alive, before they began to disarticulate after death, they were buried in this fashion. So this would seem to indicate that not only was the ocean here, but also that the ocean that deposited these organisms did so very rapidly, took living organisms, ripped them off of their living position, and buried them in another location fast enough so that the decomposition of the body didn't destroy the creature itself. So what we have is evidence of a fast-flowing ocean over the continent, thousands of feet higher than present sea level. We might ask what something like that might be, and we believe that it could only be explained by something like a worldwide flood, as the Bible records in the day of Noah. Here we are in the Redwall limestone, about halfway down vertically in the Grand Canyon. We are in a portion of the limestone about 1/3 up from the base. We're in a side canyon off of the Colorado River by the name of Nautiloid Canyon. And here in the canyon below me, we have some interesting fossils preserved in the rock. They're called nautiloids. Nautiloids are kind of cigar-shaped shells of organisms that kind of similar to squids, like a squid with a shell. Because of the shape of the nautiloids, they're the sort of organisms that can get oriented by currents, and it's because of that that we're interested in the ones that are found here beneath us. The traditional interpretation of the Redwall limestone is that it's accumulated by particles of organic material and particles of shells falling down through the water column over thousands and millions of years. As such, you would expect that if nautiloids lived in this area for the duration of the time, that you should find nautiloids above us and below us and on every level. And that doesn't seem to be the case. We find lots of nautiloids in this particular level here, but very few to none are found in other layers above and below. It appears as if the nautiloids that are found here were buried at only one moment in time. Furthermore, if in fact the Redwall was formed by the gradual deposition of material over a long period of time in a calm, placid sea, you would expect that there would be no currents to orient those nautiloids as they fell down to the bottom. So you'd expect them to be randomly distributed in orientation, but that's not what you find here. What you find is that they seem to be oriented in a more or less north-south direction as we see them here. That seems to indicate that not only did they die quickly at one moment in time, but also that they were oriented by something, probably currents, in a particular direction. This seems to argue against that calm, uniform deposition of material in the red wall, but rather argues that there was some event, maybe that killed these organisms in the water column at a single moment in time, and then they fell down to the bottom and were buried very rapidly in some event occurring in a very short period of time. So rather than a very gradual deposition of material over long periods of time, we have evidence here of a rapid kill event sometime in the Earth's past.